Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Allergic Living's Talking Food Allergies video series. I'm your host, Gwen Smith, and I'm delighted to be joined today by allergist Dr. Vivian Hernandez-Trujillo and her daughter, Sophia Whitcomb. So great to meet you both.
It's our pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, Sophia, great to meet you too. Sophia, you're entering the University of Central Florida as a freshman. Your twin sister is also off to college, but your preparation has been quite a bit different since you're the twin managing serious food allergies. But you do have a big source of knowledge in your corner, a mom who's a board certified allergist. So I want to hear from you both about the preparations for college with severe food allergies and your tips and insights for fellow students and parents. But just before we start, let me take a moment to thank Allergic Living's sponsor for this video, AUVI-Q. AUVI-Q is an epinephrine auto-injector with built-in voice instructions. Learn more about it at the auviq.com website. That's AUVI-Q.com. Also, before we jump in, Dr. Hernandez Trujillo, let's mention your credentials. They're quite impressive. You're Director of Allergy and Immunology at Nicholas Children's Hospital in Miami and founder of the practice Allergy and Immunology Care Center of South Florida. In academics, you're a clinical associate professor at Florida International University's Medical College. So let's dive in, guys. Dr. Hernandez Trujillo, Sophia has life-threatening allergies to tree nuts and peanuts. Even though you're an allergist, how big an impact did that have on you as a mom?
So one of the things I like to, especially when I first meet families, when the children are young, and I say I'm going to take off my allergist hat for a moment and talk as a mom because certainly I myself have food allergies. But when I think about my three roles, so as an allergist, as a patient, and as a mom, my most difficult role, without a doubt, is as a mom because they're the ones that I'm most concerned about having that allergic reaction. So the same preparations that I share, the same pearls and tips that we'll talk about, some of those today, are the things actually, and the how we've prepared to get Sophia ready to go to college.
Excellent. And years have passed. Sophia, I gather you're 18 now, is that correct?
Yes.
And starting college. Tell us a bit about that. What are you studying at the University of Central Florida, and what's your career interest?
So I actually want to take after my mom. I want to be a doctor. So I'm studying biology with a minor in medical anthropology, which I'm really excited about. And I don't know, I'm excited for a new chapter. I'm a little nervous, of course, but I feel like I've been guided well.
I
So
bet you have. Yeah.
I'm
And
really
I
lucky.
gather there's a great medical school there too.
Yeah, I've been given the opportunity to work at Orlando Health in a lab. I've already done my application, and so I'm excited to start that once I'm up there as well.
That's amazing. Now, Dr. Hernandez Trujillo, what discussions did you and Sophia have with dining services at UCF about her food allergies and precautions that were needed?
So we were actually recently there for orientation, and student services there is very good about, first they just need the general information, and then giving us some guidance. We're still waiting for some of the information, but I feel confident that, as I tell everyone, they need to be their own best advocate, especially because we're not going to be there. But giving the information to the university, they can work with you to just have, even if it's just looking at menus, so she'll know what are the safe foods. And they're very good about letting the students know what allergens are in their meals. And I think that's important because having more information is power.
And I think that when I was there personally at orientation, I felt even safer just for the fact that they go above and beyond putting contains with the allergens and such, which put me at ease, even though I still always ask. I think that's also really important that they do.
Now, another big consideration that we always talk about at Allergic Living is college housing. What did you folks do for, are you dorm living and how are you going to handle that?
Okay, so I'm fortunate enough to live with my best friend in a dorm, and then we have three other girls that we're living with, so it's five of us in a room. And since she's a good friend of mine, she's already known, but I did make sure to let everyone know before we were rooming, just as a disclaimer, I am allergic to peanuts and tree nuts. And if maybe that's something you're uncomfortable with or you're maybe nervous, I completely understand. And I hope we can still be friends. And they were all okay with it. And actually, some of them have other allergies as well, which puts my mind at ease since they understand the concerns that go into it.
That always makes a difference, doesn't it? All three of us here have food allergies. So yeah, when you hear someone else has allergies, you're like, you're going to understand this. So it is very
Exactly.
helpful. Anything you'd like to add, Doctor, on the housing?
So I would also add, so my nephew also attends University of Central Florida, and he has a severe peanut allergy as well. The difference for him is he went through he has a letter that states his allergies, and they actually, with his roommates, they placed him with other roommates who had similar allergies. And I think that makes a big difference because everybody can be on the same page. And it adds a level of protection, I think. And as Sophie said, some people may feel comfortable, some people may not, but it's always important to talk about it because you need that information to be understood.
Yeah, and I mean it comes up a lot with things like, shared utensils, etc. If they don't really understand it, it can be an issue. What about having an emergency action plan? They're very common in high school. Will Sophia have one at college?
Absolutely. So we are going to have several copies. And I think that this is a piece of advice that I would give to anyone. So the emergency action plans, and you can get them different, there's different ones. There's the AAP action plan, FAIR has an action plan. There's a lot of different action plans. I personally, she'll be going with the AAP action plan. And the importance of having an action plan is that if something were to happen, everyone that's with her could actually follow this. So, and action plans list the patient's name, their allergies, it lists symptoms, signs. If something were to happen, let's look for this. If there's two or more systems, that's the time to use your epinephrine auto-injector. And I think having that available, so over her desk for sure, with her, a copy with her emergency medications. And then if you have a fridge, you can put on the side of the fridge. If you have a bulletin board, you can put on the bulletin board. But having several copies, I think, does make a difference. And I believe that emergency action plans are as important when you have a 3-month-old infant as when you have a 18-year-old that's going to college, because those are very informative. And again, just a reminder, you can get nervous. Sophia can get nervous. We all get nervous when we have an allergic reaction, but having that additional information keeps us, on the right path of this is what's happening and we're going to treat it appropriately and stop this reaction from continuing.
Great. And Sophia, I assume you will let your friends know about the action plan too? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a group chat, which also helps. So we've already discussed a lot. And one of those things was an action plan and making sure that everyone understood it. Again, since they know a little bit more, they already understand how to administer an AUVI-Q, which again puts another level of mind at ease, and just being really open about it because I'm not embarrassed about it. And I think no one should be because I don't know, to me, it's my life, and that's important, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Now, we're talking about epinephrine, and for any of us with life-threatening allergies, that's our lifeline, and it's so important. Sophia, where do you carry yours, and talk about how prepared you are to use it?
So I always have mine with me. My AUVI-Q is always with me at all times. And I love it because personally, I like how small it is. It's very compact. So you can fit it in really well. Usually in high school, I had it always in my backpack, which was great. If I'm going out or doing something, usually I'll have it in a purse, or if maybe I don't have pockets, usually one of my friends have pockets, keeping that in their pocket and just ensuring that if it's with them, that I'm always with them, because I don't want to go off somewhere and they're not with me and something does happen and I don't have it. So I like to make sure it's in my purse, but if that's not the option, always giving it to someone with a pocket that I'm near. I think it's
And then
really,
you keep an eye on that person.
I know.
Yeah,
Yes.
no, I would too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've actually covered a case like that where somebody, the friend went off somewhere else. So yeah, you do have to watch it. Now, I just wanted to also ask, I understand that Sophia had a serious allergic reaction in the last year and did need epinephrine. Can the two of you explain what happened?
Yeah, you can start.
So basically what happened was I was at my boyfriend's house and we were eating, and we've been to this place multiple times. And I guess that time I got really sick. I was nauseous and I wasn't feeling great. And I personally kind of brushed it off. And my boyfriend was the one to be calling my mom saying something's wrong. And we drove to my mom's and administered it immediately. And I felt a lot better. But,
Hmm.
wasn't, it was a scary-ish moment.
And I think I'll say, number one, I was proud of what I consider a buddy system, right? So one of the things, especially for anyone that's in high school or in college who's going to be away from whoever their caregiver normally is, I think it's really important in high school to start transitioning that medical care. So I'm not the one responsible for carrying the epinephrine auto-injector. Sophia is. It's normal to be nervous. Having that buddy, so her boyfriend really protected her and he realized something is not right. Immediately called me. Thankfully, we live within, a very short distance of each other, but it's having the information that you need to recognize something isn't right, observing. At the beginning, she only had the vomiting, so it was one body system. By the time they got to our house, shortly after, she started getting hives, which was the second body system. So, we used the AUVI-Q and she definitely felt a lot better. And I think that one of the things that she realized, I often will say to parents, I don't know what it is about the high school years that accidental ingestions can happen. And we can learn from these experiences. So she now knows that she can absolutely self-administer and it's not as scary. I think we make this into a huge,
Yeah.
it's life-saving, right? So what I say is that having epinephrine available is giving you control over a potentially bad situation and it gives you power. It's not to be scary. Even like, when someone comes with an infant, we'll talk about don't be scared. You brought this child into the world. We're going to keep them here. We're going to treat appropriately. And I literally say it that way because I feel that is, we are very lucky that we're able to take control over the situation, but at all times we have to have the epinephrine auto injector available. Yeah.
And I also think it's really important to say as well, this was my first time ever having a reaction. And I think it's almost, I think I just learned the power that I have within myself, being able to get over that first administration. Now I know that I'm fully capable of doing it and not to be, concerned about it, but to feel I have the power to do it and I can do it myself.
I think that's a great thing to know. General advice for others who are also off to college or already there. Any tips of things, Dr. Hernandez-Trujillo, you think people need to remember for college?
I think so. There's a few pieces of information. First of all, when I have a patient that I know is going off to college, we have what I call the real talk at the office, and we're going to talk about real life situations. We're going to talk about what if situations. So I'll say, number one, you're no longer going to be with your caregivers, and you're going to be responsible. So training the people around you, whether it's roommates or close friends, on how to properly administer epinephrine is rule number one, right? So that's number one. I briefly mentioned the buddy system. I also talk about the buddy system in the sense that when we go off to college, then we start experimenting with different things. And when we have food allergy, including myself, we have to remember that we can't just take the luxury to not be completely in our right mind. Like we need to be able to make conscious decisions. So if we have the influence of either alcohol or another substance and it's clouding the way that we're thinking, we may have an accidental ingestion of one of our allergens, and that will, that can put us at risk. I'm going to give an example because this actually happened, and this can happen to anyone. I was at one of my friends' house, and my friends know that I have peanut allergy. My friends are both physicians, and one of my friends offered to give me a new drink and was really encouraging me. Please try it. I made it especially for you, but I'm a food allergy patient. And I said, I'm not going to do it. And he was insisting, and I said, I'm not going to do it. As he's getting closer, I said, can you please just tell me what's in it? And he says, it's peanut butter beer. And I
Oh
looked
boy.
at him and I said, this is exactly why. And I'll use this example in my
Yeah,
office with the
that's
teenager
crazy.
because my friend knows he forgot. He
Yeah.
forgot that I had the allergy, but I know that I have the allergy. I said, no, I am not going to drink that. But it's because, and I hadn't had anything to drink prior, but I it's just you have to always be able to make, the decision that keeps you safe. And at the end of the day, if we, if we're under the influence of anything, we have to have someone else that's going to be protecting us. And I think that that's really, really important. So that's one of the scenarios that I present to like students that are going off to college. And then obviously having epinephrine auto-injector available at all times and reminding them antihistamines are not going to save your life. Steroids are not going to save your life. It really is about carrying that epinephrine auto-injector at all times.
Absolutely. Now, Sophia, uh, going to college is a time when you make a lot of new friends. I think your mom and I will attest to that, over the years, you have your high school friends and then you meet a lot of people in college. So, how will you tell new friends about your food allergies?
I think I'm going to be very open. Look, I'm allergic to peanuts, I'm allergic to tree nuts, and I always like to say what my tree nut allergies are because some people don't know all the tree nuts. So pecans, pistachios, stuff like that. And I'm just going to say, make sure that anything you want to give me doesn't have those, and I'll myself double check as well, and just being very open because at the end of the day, if they're going to judge you on that, then to me that's not a friend. To me that's just someone I don't want to associate myself with.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. But I hope you will make many new friends. And,
I'm not worried. I hope so.
yeah, I think it's such an exciting time in life. And that I just wanted to say that, we have to remember here, going to college isn't just about our food allergies. It is that new chapter that you mentioned at the start. Sophia, just tell us, like, when you'll be just starting, and what are you really looking forward to at college?
Well, personally, I'm looking forward to a little bit more freedom, just being able to do what I would like without having to, ask all the time, even though I've been very fortunate to be able to do most of what I would like. I'm also so excited because a lot of my high school friends are going to be going up with me to college. So just having fun and experiencing that, and also just being really, I'm so excited to live with my friend in college and sharing a dorm room. I feel like that's just such a college staple. So I'm most excited about that.
It's
And
a big
study.
step, right, Mom?
Yeah. We all go through it. That's the other thing. When I talk to patients, the parents are saying, like, this is so difficult to let them go. And I say, it isn't, it isn't, right? Like, I went away to college. My parents let me go away to college. And I think it's part of life and it's part of our personal growth. I think I'm
Absolutely.
really excited. I'm excited for both the girls to go away. And I'm always excited when my college patients go away and they come back and they tell me great stories. And I think it's part of the passage and the journey of life. And I think it's great. I think it's very exciting.
Doctor, do you have any last takeaway advice for our listeners today?
So always remember that you're not alone, That's number one. There are many resources that are available, and I encourage you to reach out on those. I also encourage all my patients to complete the health app on your phone. So there you can add your allergies, you can add your medications, and I really think that that's an important resource that should be used. And should something ever happen, at least the information's there and it's easily accessible to EMS services.
I think that's a great tip. Sophia, thank you so much for sharing your story with Allergic Living's followers. We wish you just amazing things ahead at college. Dr. Hernandez-Trujillo, thank you as well for sharing your advice, both as an allergist and a patient and a food allergy mom. I'd also like to thank our sponsor for this video, AUVI-Q. AUVI-Q is an epinephrine auto-injector with built-in voice instructions. Learn more about it at their website, AUVI-Q.com. Thanks again, ladies.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much
so
for the
much.
invitation. We appreciate it.